Alright guys, I want to talk to you guys about the tune in this car wash video. I'm currently like custom tuned with open flash tablet and Steve Wiseman's tune. He's the man for the tuning stuff. He's pretty good at it. So he custom tuned my 2014 BRZ open flash tablet. We did a data log and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. So it gives you, when you first upload it, first like couple hundred miles, you have like 0 throttle response. It's non-existent. It like just kills your throttle response completely. Some people call it dead pedal, and it really throws it off. If you're just like driving on the freeway, you have to give it like almost half throttle for it to maintain speed. And for a while there, if you're not like daily driving your car to work and back a lot, you may feel like it was a waste of money, or like your car actually became slower. So that's a data log because I have an intake, and because of the intake he had to do what's called custom MAF recalibration, and you do that to give the airflow, to account for the difference in airflow, because tuning a car typically messes with timing and making it run a little bit more like lean than factory, because factory always is on a richer side usually with most cars. So with the factory tune, the intake will actually run all right because there's like provisions for it. But when you do a custom tune, it's really hard to get it just right like that. So you have to do MAF recalibration and a little bit of data logging, so the tuner can take a look at your car, how it's behaving when you're driving around, and he can fine tune it from there. And the only reason why you're able to do it with these cars is because they have what's called a wideband O2 sensor from the factory. So the tuner can look at your air to fuel and everything else and make adjustments, because your normal O2 sensor that's not wideband, it's almost like an on and off switch, so it doesn't really, like, I think it only has like 2 parameters. It's like below ideal and above, and that's it, but not exactly how much below or how much above. So that's why people go on a dyno tune, and on dyno tuning they usually add a wideband O2 sensor to your car. So the only difference between like data log tuning and dyno tuning really is you're not getting your horsepower numbers right, because there's no dyno. But the tuner can get it pretty damn good, and they call it like remote tuning basically. And EcuTech or Ecotech, however you freaking pronounce it, they offer that. But they offer that as well. But I just went with Steve Wiseman because he's cheaper and he knows his stuff, and he's familiar with open flash tablets, so he doesn't like talk you out of it like any other tuner that's trying to make a lot of money off of you. And I can understand if you're tuning for like forced induction, you might want to spend a little more and get like, I don't know, more in-depth tune, I guess, if that even makes sense. But like for what I'm doing, just headers, intake, catback, overpipe, pretty much are my only mods. Like I don't need all that at all. There's no reason for me to pay the ridiculous amounts of money I was quoted for EcuTech just to still have a check engine light. I don't want that. I don't want to check engine light for something so silly as a freaking secondary O2 sensor that does absolutely nothing once your cat's deleted, and there's absolutely no point to it once your cat's deleted. So like, Ecutech said it's illegal for us to do that and yada yada. It's like, all right, cool. You guys want to rip, or you know, not rip people off, but like charge more and, you know, be on the side of the state, fine, whatever. I don't know if they got like sued or whatever. I'm not sure how Open Flash is able to do it and they can't, but I'm too OCD to have a check engine light on. Plus, if there's actually something wrong with the car, for something actually serious, how are you gonna know? You're not gonna be able to tell, because I mean, unless you're like sitting there scanning your thing every day, you're not gonna be able to tell. So that to me was a huge no-no. Plus, again, I'm only doing a couple of mods, so I'm not trying to turn this thing into some rocket ship or whatever. This is my like canyon run car. I don't need it to be super fast in a straight line, so I'm not going to do force induction or any of that. I want it reliable, and I want to be able to, you know, just rip on it on the twisties and have fun on a stressful week like I did yesterday. I went out in the mountains and let her rip. It was amazing. This thing handles on rails like a mini go-kart. So like straight line acceleration and like a lot of power just becomes not that important to me, I guess, in this case. As you guys, I'm sure, understand, those of you that have FRS, BRZ, or Toyota 86, you probably can agree with me that your main reason for buying this car was probably handling and looks, as opposed to, you know, straight line acceleration, as they call it. So and I'm really happy with Steve's tune. I had to give him one data log. He, I think, like adjusted something and did the math recalibration, and that was it. Sent me on my way, a happy camper. I tell you guys, it's not, guess I'm gonna do the wheels last. You don't need much to have fun. You don't need 600 horsepower to have fun. You just need a car that's lightweight, that handles really good. I'm not gonna get this. And you know, fast cars will get you in trouble. A car that feels fast but ain't going nowhere, because with these things, man, even supercharged, you see people with these cars can't even keep up with traffic. Like, be going behind some SUV and the SUV isn't even racing, and these supercharged FRSs or whatever, or 86s or BRZs, can't even keep up with the traffic. I watched a couple of videos yesterday about a couple of guys that have the supercharged these, and they ain't going nowhere. Yeah, it sounds cool. Yeah, it seems a little bit smoother acceleration, but whatever. It's not like I can still take my E36 M3 with all full NA bolt-ons and absolutely destroyed one of these, supercharged or not. But you take this thing out in the twisties and it just becomes an animal. And you don't need no guys, you don't need 255 expensive tires. You don't need super wide expensive wheels. Dude, these wheels were 180 bucks a pop, and you know, I couldn't be happier. Toyo tires, 240 treadwear, one size bigger than stock, wheel one size wider than stock. Boom, that's all you need. Better offset, a little bit wider, grippier tire. You don't want to go too wide and too grippy, because then it becomes, well, you need a lot of power to enjoy that. If you don't have a lot of power and you go too wide, it's gonna be too much tire for your power. And yeah, it looks cool, of course, like wide tires look dope, but you're creating more rolling resistance, and you're never gonna really break them loose, because this thing like I hardly could even break these loose. Cold water is the best. The best, guys, the best. So yeah, stage 2.5 tune. I may even do E85. I watched a couple of guys with the E85 tune, and it seems to me like it almost seemed like the E85 did as much as a supercharger on that other FRS that I saw. So it makes me wonder, like, just switching a tune and going to a pump. I got one not too far away from here. I'm going over there to a gas station, just pumping some E85 in there. You're gonna be right there with a supercharger anyway. And I know you guys are gonna argue with me in the comments, probably say, oh no, supercharger is so much faster, yada yada. Yeah, well, not really. Like, it's not. It might be faster on paper or in theory, or just because you spent $6 grand on it. There we go. So it's like, nah, you don't need all that. You don't need no damn supercharger. Like, why spend $6 grand? You know, I got this car for 8. Why would I want to spend six grand on a supercharger that's not even gonna make it, like, it doesn't become more fun. It actually becomes less fun. Sometimes when you add too much power to certain cars, they're not as fun to drive anymore, because now you got to worry about traction, not spinning out, you know, getting that power down enough for it to, like, make sense, even where it's controllable and you're able to enjoy it, not just burn up the rubber the whole way down the track, right? So then you got to invest in well, this car has limited slip, luckily, from factory. But let's say if it didn't, like my M3, I believe, had limited slip, but it was like, it wasn't that great. So I had to rebuild the diff and do a bunch of stuff to that. And that even gave me more. You know what, guys? I'm actually gonna, a huge part in this vehicle that's gonna make a huge difference in everything is gonna be a regear. I think that's gonna make a bigger difference than headers and all that put together, because regear gives you real torque, mathematical torque to your wheels. You literally put down more power than you did before the regear. It's a fact. It's bound by math and physics. So there's no, like, oh, false advertisement or any of that, because you're physically changing the gear ratio. What are you doing? Why does it just keep pushing me into it? That was weird. That was so weird. So you're physically changing the gear ratio, and as soon as you get behind the wheel and start driving, you're gonna see a huge difference. Well, whatever percentage you went up, you'll see that, you know, that much more torque being put down to your wheels. So if you go up like 5% on a gear change, you're gonna be seeing 5% more torque to the ground, and that could be 10, 15, or even more. And typically people do more than 5%, maybe 8% increase, 10. On M3 I did, I think, like 20% increase, something like that, maybe even more. I went from like I think it was 312 to 391, or 317 to 391, something like that. Whatever the E36 M3s came with stock for the automatics. So a regear will give you a much better gains for your money than maybe some of these you know, some of these bolt-on mods that might not do all that much. Some people claim that tuning and putting the headers, well, the headers, no, not so much, but like just tuning this car doesn't really do much. It doesn't change your 0 to 60 times necessarily, and it doesn't make you a speed demon in a quarter mile. Like, you're not going to go to a track before tune and after tune and have a night and day difference in your time. That's not what it's designed to do. It'll give you a little bit of that mid-range torque, that it'll give you like better throttle response. It'll give you overall just more consistent feel. Like, your overall pedal, your overall just like driving experience is going to be enhanced. It doesn't make it a whole different car. Like, after you do something major, even a regear, when I got the regear done first, I drove it on the M3 and it was like, oh wow, I could feel it. But like, it almost, you get used to it so quick, because the car should have, you start thinking the car should have came like that stock. Because again, you don't have forced induction, you don't have that rapid spool and acceleration once the turbo kicks in and it like throws you in the back of the seat. It's not nothing like that. It's more like you just have more torque throughout the range at any given point. You have more passing power and you have more just response overall. You know, it's an overall enhancement of what you already have, and it'll, in theory, reduce your overall top speed, but you'll get up to it faster. So if these things, you know, top out at I don't know if they're drag limited or what limits them exactly, but if they top out at 150, let's say, and you still have, you know, RPM left, then when you do a regear, you'll be closer to red line as opposed to still having a lot of room to go, which makes it so much better, because you're utilizing your entire RPM range and you're not leaving power behind. With my M3 at 160, I was at 5,000 RPM and before the regear, and the car redlines at 7 and change, so there was over 2,000 RPM just wasted. The car wouldn't go any faster, but the motor still had room. I think it was, so when I did a 391 regear at 160, I'm approaching that 7,000 RPM, and I get up to 160 now faster, right? So that's what makes it really good, is that's the best part about it, is that but you have to find that happy ratio. And I noticed guys with BRZs, FRSs, not too many of them regear. Maybe track guys regear, but most street guys don't. And you want the torque for a street car, especially down low, because you don't want to be screaming 7,000 RPM going down you know, your local street or whatever, and have all the cops memorize how your car sounds, so then they keep an eye out for you every time you leave your house and pull your ass over. Ask me how I know. You know, I learned that real quick in my high school years. I had my loud ass Civic, and all the cops knew exactly where I'd be going and what time. They knew my damn work schedule. They knew what I did for fun on the weekends, where I went. They knew where I couldn't go because my car was too low. And they sat there and waited for my ass. Bam, ticket for everything. All sorts of stuff. Too loud, too low. Too this, too that. Fix it, ticket this, fix it, ticket that. So, to avoid all that shit, For a street car, you want to make all the power you can down low, so you don't have to wrap it up. And then when you get in the mountains, you get on it, you got all that torque already from the re-gear, you got your tune, you got your header, you got all that working together as a team. And now you put a smile on your face up in the mountains, because you could actually, you know, utilize the full RPM range. But you're not tempted to all the time on the street, because you actually can pass traffic and get up to speed and pass people without having a downshift and get too crazy with it in the high RPMs just to make any torque. And most of these 4-cylinder cars with a higher red line, S2000, BRZ, whatever, list goes on. There's so many of them, not gonna get into it. Honda Civic, yada yada yada. None of them make torque down low. They all make torque up top like a street bike. Y'all ever hear a street bike pass anybody quietly? No. They have to get on it to get any power out of it. They don't make nothing down below. With my old V-twin, I could barely twist the throttle. I'm at the next light already. I had so much torque, but get me on the freeway and the street bike would be gone. I had no chance against no damn street bike with a V-twin. What I mean by a street bike is like a R1 or, you know, a 4-cylinder street bike, high performance. So those guys redline 16,000, 15,000, whatever, and they don't start making anything till about 9,000 RPM. From idle to 9,000, you're sleeping. You're sleeping all that power. It's just there to like get you from light to light, but you don't even know what's waiting until you get up in a higher RPM. Like my M3, I built it both. I built it for off the line with the re-gear and the shorty headers, equal length headers, give you that low torque. And then I did all them M50 manifold. An M50 manifold allows it to breathe up top. So it'll, from like 5,000 RPM and up, it gives you like solid 20 plus horsepower. And it's very, very noticeable when you're driving it. Oh yeah, it is very noticeable. All right, guys. She's looking good. But overall, I'm definitely happy with the tune. It definitely wakes the car up a bit. And it makes it overall worth, worth doing. But if you guys are spending a lot of money on a tune, it's not gonna make you feel like it's so night and day. Like it'll make a difference, but if you're expecting a speed demon, you might be let down. And if driving usability, if just overall enhancing it isn't like enough for you, then I'd say hold off on the tune and spend that money on track time, suspension, whatever. Shit, why did I just do that? Crap. So then you're not like wasting it on something that may not, if you're not trying to get like every last bit of usability out of it, then maybe it's not the right choice. Because you can get tires, you can get other things that may make you happier than a tune. Because with the tune, you need the tablet, you need a Windows computer, you need either the off-the-shelf tunes that you get with them for free, or what I would recommend is getting Steve or somebody like Steve involved. But Steve's very reasonable. He doesn't charge much. That's why I went with him, and he knows his stuff. He's in Australia, so there's really no need to you don't need to invest a whole bunch. But if you're gonna do force induction anyway in the nearest future, That's the plan, that's the goal. And don't waste your time on this. Just do that. Do that right away. And sometimes builds are done step by step depending on budgets and planning. But if you have the money and you're just redoing it again based on poor planning, that kind of sucks. Like, you want to avoid that. You want to set like realistic goals for your vehicle and build it based on those goals, and not like do it in stages, unless you're not having to forfeit any of the previous work you've done. Like with the M3, I did it in stages, but it was designed to do it that way. You just kind of go from dying in stage 1 to dying in stage 5, and for every step of the way you're doing corresponding mods. And you know, you start with an intake and you work your way up to a larger intake and bigger throttle body and intake manifold and all that stuff, headers, right? Interestingly enough, like on this car, the headers is what requires the tune. It doesn't require it, but it's beneficial. On the BMW, the headers didn't need a tune. The manifold needs it, and all the intake stuff needs it, so it's a little bit different. But it's also a 97, and this is a 2014, and it's just a different design. And guys, intake definitely does do something. I'm not sure why some people are under the impression it does nothing. Just people don't like to recalibrate the math. But if you're paying a tuner to tune your car and you want the intake, by all means get it, because it gives, even this for the sound, it's worth it. So I personally like it. My car came with it. You'll hear a lot of people saying, oh, don't get a colder intake, it does nothing. And then you'll see a dyno that proves it otherwise. It actually does do something. But here's the thing. On a stock tune, it does something. It leans it out, gives a little more throttle response. And the scaling is going to be slightly off, but it's not going to affect anything really. Air to fuel can still compensate in the smaller percentages, and not enough to really make a deal about it, right? But if you're doing a tune where you're getting everything out of it, every last bit of performance, with this one, for example, Steve squeezed the timing pretty high up there. I think it gets up to about 28 degrees on acceleration wide open throttle, and that's phenomenal. And he got it on 91 octane without pinging, no knocking, no pinging. I've been just running Chevron gas in this. I won't run anything else but Chevron 91 in it. If I'm out of options, I'll do like a Shell or a Mobil, but high tier gas only, guys. Don't be fucking around with that cheap gas from no name brand gas stations. That shit don't do anything good for your vehicle. There's no detergents, nothing in that gas. So it's, I mean, there is, but they're very low percentage, so you end up building carbon up and stuff in your valves, intakes, and all that. Intake valves. Starting to feel it now a little bit. Getting there. It's fighting this stupid snake is ridiculous. Like, what is going on with it? Why is it tied in? It always somehow ties into a knot. Alright, come on, bitch. I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna win, not you. Fuck you. Yeah. It's fighting the hose as a bitch. Alright. what kind of brake pads are on here. Oh yeah, speaking of brake pads, so guys, it's actually it's brakes that I want to do on this thing before anything else. So I do my headers, I'm definitely doing brakes because this car needs some brakes. And the stock brakes are okay, and I did not cook them yesterday doing the little run. However, I'm telling you guys, this thing needs brakes. If you want to actuate your ABS and really brake hard and not fade them, because I'm a fan of using brakes. I was taught that at autocross. Brakes is very important. You will increase your times by coming up to a turn and increasing your engaging your ABS before each turn, more so than you would going with having more horsepower or whatever. I hit a plateau with autocrossing, and Kim, really well known in the BMW world, she said, you're not braking hard enough. She's like, and I said, well, I'm on street brakes. She said, it's all right, cook them, go home, upgrade to Porterfield pads, Kevlar carbon ceramic pads. She said Brembo blank rotors or Zimmerman blanks or whatever, and stainless steel lines, and Motul fluid, 600 degree or whatever. She said you'll be able to destroy those things and they won't. She said you'll be able to treat them, you'll be able to actuate them on right before every turn, and she said you're gonna be just fine. I couldn't believe her. And I tell you what, guys, I was killing it once I started doing that. Of course, you don't do it on those super tight quick turns. You do it when you've got some speed and you're coming up to a turn like that. Down the straights, when you floor it and you get up to 70, 80, whatever on the little straightaways, and you're coming up to a turn in autocross, actuate those ABS. Just hit it as late as possible, as hard as possible. Let those brakes work, and then take that turn. You'll increase or decrease, you'll pull better times. You'll do faster lap times doing that. I promise you guys. It worked for me because I got to the point where I didn't know what else to do. I did all the bolt-ons, I did all my weight reduction, seats, all the power mods, everything. I got the sticky tires. I'm like, man, what am I missing? What am I missing? Because I always thought, well, it's an M3, brakes are phenomenal, and they are very good. They're just not track good. Autocross will, no matter how hard you drive on the street, autocross will just shame that, and it'll bring out all your bottlenecks in your car within a couple of laps. Maybe not the very first lap when you're warming up, but your second, your third lap should be your best lap. Second and your third lap should be your best laps, and then your fourth, fifth. I don't know if they do fifth. Not every event they do 5, but some do 4. Your fourth lap, depending on your tires and brakes, you're going to be seeing fade. Your car is going to start heat soaking, all that. So you'll notice a performance loss on those on those runs, right? So your best lap's going to be your second, your third. For me, it was always my third, I believe, is because I would learn the track and I would fucking hit it hard. I'd go ham on it because you're not gonna get hit by another car, you're not gonna hit anything. You don't got to worry about flying off a cliff. If something fails, like, worst thing you're gonna do is hit some cones, big deal, like nothing but a chicken wing. So yeah, guys, do some autocross days. Even if your car is stock, it doesn't matter. It'll teach you its limits, and then you can mod it accordingly and it's such a small price to pay. You go around with an instructor, and you know, my first autocross day, my M3 was pretty built, but it was, as far as brakes and tires, street. I had Toyo Proxy 4s on it, 300 tread wear. And I tell you what, guys, I pulled what was it? I think I took 5th out of 98 cars, and I was in the M modified class, which was basically, there was like older Ferraris, there was an Austin, a Porsche, a bunch of BMWs, and it was everybody modified. Everybody was modified, Aston Martins, whatever. And I took 5th with hand controls, automatic everything, automatic M3 on street tires. The instructors were like, what's happening here? He goes, you drive better with hand controls than most able-bodied people. And I said, well, I don't know, it's my first time, I'm not sure. And he said, oh boy, he goes, if you're doing that good your first time, he said he said, get some sticky tires on it. And I went back and I got some Kumo X to XS or something like that. They were 200 tread wear, and they were basically just, I forgot why, but Discount Tire, I think it was having a hard time getting them or something. So the ones that they got me, they were like expired, or there was something wrong with them. So on my 3rd lap, I was sliding all over the place. I was actually doing worse with those tires than I did on my Proxy 4s. Well, this was my second autocross track day ever, and the instructor actually disqualified me. He said, these tires are dangerous. He goes, there's something wrong with them. He goes, I know how you drive. And he asked me if he could, you know, take my car around. And I said, yeah, sure. And he took it out, and he did a lap himself, and he said, shut her down. He said, take these tires back to wherever the hell you got them at, and tell them they're unsafe. And he goes, if they want to give you a hard time, he goes, have them call me. And he goes, I'll vouch for it. He goes, I've been doing this many years. It was an older guy too. It wasn't like, there were some instructors, there were like 18-year-olds there, literally. And I mean, I don't know if it's a pride thing or what, but like, I'm not gonna be taking no pointers from 18-year-olds, right? Like, I've been driving more than you've been alive. I'm sorry, like, you're an instructor, cool, but like, nah, bro. But I'll listen to an older man that's been doing this, you know, longer than I've been around. So hell yeah, I'm gonna listen. So he said, go home. He goes, I'm sorry, but he goes, this your car is straight, you know, dangerous. He goes, I thought it was, he goes, I knew it wasn't you. He goes, the way it was responding, he goes, something was off with it. You know, I could tell. You know, he's experienced. Anybody experienced would be able to tell right away. And I said, oh wow, okay. I was expecting, you know, much faster times, but actually it was worse. So not all, I believe it's because they were expired or they were close to expired. So Discount Tire swapped them out, no questions asked. They were, I mean, that company, guys, if you're ever, you know, getting tires from Discount Tire is the way to go, because their customer service is unlike anything else. And if they don't do good, you go to corporate, they'll take care of it. Doesn't matter what it is. So they replaced my tires with the Hankook RS3s, and then I went back 140 tread wear. I went back next time, and this time there was over 100 cars, and I took 3rd. And oh my god, I was so happy. I did so good that day. Did phenomenally. It was amazing, and it taught me a lot. I had more comfortable seats too. My car was slightly heavier, but I had more comfortable seats. And guys, it was like the best track day ever. I had so much fun. And that's when I was like, okay, well, tires, the right kind of tires are, oh shoot, you should never use the towel you use to dry your car to dry your wheels with, because then you're gonna get those metallic brake dust. Even though I washed it, I still don't like doing that. You get that shit on there, and then you gotta scratch your paint. So, but yeah, guys, she's almost done. I'm gonna just dry these wheels and ready to put on some tire shiner, but I might just do that later tonight, or not even do it at all, because I'm putting a car cover on this. So we're getting ready to go van life a little bit, so that's why I washed it, so I can go put it underneath the cover and not have the cover scratch it. I hope this cover is decent and all the reviews are honest. I got some cover on Amazon. Maybe I should have bought a more expensive one, I don't know. It was like 70 bucks. So we'll see. I don't know, some of these covers are iffy, questionable. Oh, she's looking so good. Sexy cat. So sexy. So sexy. I like these wheels, guys. Light, inexpensive, proper fitment, good looking, easy to clean, quality made. I would rather get NKs any day than any reps, because you know NK makes stock wheels for Subaru, Honda, who else? I'm sure Nissan and a few other companies, right? So I trust them more than, like, I was all about Rotas, but I don't know, you hear some stuff online about Rotas that's kind of iffy, and I only had one pair, and I can't say I ever had anything wrong with them, but I think NK is probably the way to go, to be honest with you guys. And Toyo tires, I can't be happier with them, both on my 4Runner and on this thing. They're just phenomenal tires for the price. So good. I don't need no Michelin Pilot Sports or any of that, like overpriced. Yeah, they're good tires. I'm not saying they're bad. Never had them, but I'm sure, I mean, I'd have to be stupid to say anything bad about them, because all the reviews just hype them up. But hey, like, I'm not a fan of spending that kind of money on tires. Yeah, I don't care if your tires last 50,000 miles. Like, I want new tires way before then. These 25,000 mile warranty, am I even gonna put that many miles on them? Who knows? They'll probably wear them out way before that happens, the way I drive. And you know, that's why I like 100. They're about 150 bucks a tire. Like, what, less than half price of the Michelins? They're definitely not twice as bad as the Michelins, that's for sure. 240 tread wear on these, and they're so predictable, very predictable, very sticky, very responsive. Haven't tracked them obviously, but for aggressive street driving, yeah, I couldn't be happier actually. I don't even know what tire, if I had to buy them again, I'd buy them again and again and again, because for the price, you're not getting anything for that price except maybe some Falcons, and those are going to be 340 tread wear, something around there. They're not going to be 240. They're not going to have the nice tread like these. And Falcon tires, I'm done with them. I will never buy another Falcon tire again. Personal preference, don't care to get into it too much, because I know a lot of people like them, and I don't want to rain on anybody's parade with the Falcon tires. But both off-road and on-road, street or off-road Falcon tires, I will never buy again. I just won't. They're not a good tire in my opinion. And for the price, they're okay for the price, but you can get better for the price. You can get better tires for your money. Wild Peaks, no, terrible. And the worst part about them, they don't balance. And in any of their, you know, however, the 615s, 620s or whatever those, yeah, 615s, those are phenomenal. I would get those. I would definitely get those. So, all right guys, that's all I have today. Just gonna put this in a trunk and she's ready to roll.